right, boys and girls, we are here with Brian Volk-Weiss, and if you watch this podcast, you have seen the toys that made us. So, how you doing?
I'm good.
Are you enjoying the con so far?
I mean, listen, I've been in this room the entire time.
That's what I was thinking.
5:30 today, I will be able to go to the floor. I did, though. The only thing I had to get, I already got. I had about 15 minutes of shopping today.
Nice.
I made a beeline for these guys. So I'm safe. But yeah, I got an hour and a half today to shop. And then hopefully tomorrow, another hour and a half.
So, how did the toys that made us come about? Like, what was the inspiration behind that?
I was a toy collector. I love toys. I pitched it for 7 years. Took 7 years to sell.
Wow.
Came very close at the History Channel. Came very close at Nat Geo. Last minute, that we were budgeting and everything. Last minute, didn't happen. And then very luckily, we had done business for years with Netflix, but exclusively for stand-up comedy. So very luckily, there was a guy named Devin who I'd done a lot of deals with for stand-up, who was transferred over to the unscripted department, which had just launched. It was brand new. A lot of people don't understand this. Toys That Made Us is very likely the first Netflix unscripted show.
Oh, wow.
If I'm wrong, it's the second.
Right.
So we luckily, because the problem I had, the early part of my career, up until Toys That Made Us, my entire career was comedy. So it was always very hard to convince buyers, because producers and directors, we get typecast too, just like actors.
Yeah.
So I'd be pitching the show about toys, and they would all be like, cool, but
where's the joke from there?
Hey, but how is this a comedy? And I'm like, oh, it's not. And they were like, first of all, who cares about toys? And I'm like, a lot of people.
Oh, yeah.
You may not get it.
Right.
But a lot of people do. Anyway, the guy at Netflix, Devin, we had become friends because we did a lot of business. Our wives had become friends. He had been to my house. He had seen my toy collection. So when he called me and was like, hey, now I'm in charge of unscripted, what should I do? Or no, what should I do? Devin definitely did not ask me what he should do. He asked me, do you have any ideas? And I'm like, yes, I do. Nice. So when I pitched him the toy show idea, just verbally, he was like, oh, that could work. And he knew I was an expert because he had seen my collection.
Right.
He gave notes, and those notes became the Toys That Made Us.
I have to tell you, so my late wife.
Sorry to hear that.
It's all right. It's been 4 years. But we watched the show because we always would watch stuff like that together. And she wasn't a toy collector or anything like that. She married a nerd, but she wasn't one. But she was like, oh, come on. Like, who cares about this? And then she's watching, and she's like, wow, this is actually really interesting. These stories about, like, how the G.I. Joes got made or how the Barbie came about, all those things. And I think it's brilliant television. Like, people don't think about those things. It's a cool collectible, but what's the story about how it got made? Is that part of what you wanted to show with the show? And, like, you picked the toys where it had interesting stories, maybe?
I'm not joking. Other than complimenting one of my children, there's no bigger compliment you could give me. It is, and I'll explain to you why. But that is the biggest compliment. And I say me, but I'm referring to the whole company and the crew that made the show. So, show gets greenlit, right? I can't believe you just asked this. So, the show gets greenlit, and we go make the show. I've made shows before, so we made the show. So, we turn into Netflix the first cut of the first episode, and that was Star Wars.
Yeah.
3 hours long. And I knew we would never be able to do a 3-hour episode.
Yeah, right.
I assumed we would do a 2-hour episode. So, executive calls, he sets up a notes call, we do the notes call, and he starts off the call by saying, this was great. Love this episode. It's wonderful. We got to figure out how to get it under an hour, but it was wonderful. And I'm like, his name's Nat. I'm like, Nat, under an hour? I know it's not going to be 3 hours, but I don't think I can get this under 2 hours. But Nat, I don't even know what to cut. What would I cut? And Nat goes, well, let me ask you a question. Is your wife a Star Wars fan? And I go, no, not at all. He goes, okay, good. He goes, you need to make an episode that your wife can watch with you. And this is what he said. He's British. You'll see in a minute why I mentioned that. He goes, you need to make an episode that your wife can watch with you, and she doesn't keep getting up every 10 minutes to make tea.
Yep.
That line, that is in the DNA of Nacelle ever since he said it. When we hire a new showrunner, when we hire a new editor, everybody gets what we call the Nacelle Commandments, and that's one of the commandments. And it's a very tricky thing to do. We need to make a show for hardcore fans like us, but the non-hardcore fans need to watch and also be entertained.
Right.
And the way we do that is we look for stories that operate on two levels. So there are many stories that a part of the story is all about G.I. Joe. But then, if you pick the right story, you could be talking about two people falling in love, two people getting divorced. Like a child like if you watch the Lego episode, a lot of that episode is about the guy who created Bionicle who was dying of a brain tumor. So you might be a huge Lego fan and you love learning about how Bionicle was invented, created. But almost everybody has been touched by sickness. Almost everybody has a grandmother who died, a parent, everybody can relate to somebody being sick, even if you've never been sick or your mom and dad have never been sick. So of the billion stories we could have told about Lego and the hundreds of stories we could have told about Bionicle, we picked a story that allowed us to tell the Bionicle story normally, but it was that undercurrent of a guy dying of brain cancer who put that story into Bionicle. That's how we keep your wife and my wife from leaving the room to make tea.
Do you... So, related to that, do you know the story going in, or do you discover the story as you're making the episode?
Sometimes we have ideas, and half the time those ideas turn out to be true, and half the time those ideas turn out not to be true. A great example is Star Wars. So I'm sitting there in Cincinnati interviewing Jim Kipling. No one had ever interviewed this guy ever. He was the lawyer of Kenner. I know because of my, as I like to say, my day job, that's the CEO part of my job, which I never say without air quotes. I know because of the business part of my job that the lawyers, they're the only people who see everything. They see the marketing materials, they know, everything. So when the show was greenlit, I was saying, and we do this to this day, we always do this, where are the lawyers? Where are the lawyers? Where are the lawyers? The other thing, where are the publicists? Where are the publicists? Where are the publicists? So we got this guy, Jim Kipling, to agree to do an interview. Like I said, no one had ever heard of this guy. I'm really good friends with Brian Stillman, who made another really good Star Wars toy documentary called Plastic Galaxy. He'd never heard of Jim Kipling. So we interview him. I didn't even think he was going to show up, because one of the problems with lawyers is they don't really like to talk about what they did. So we purposely scheduled him to be the last interview because we didn't think he was going to show up. And we were like, we'll just go to dinner early. So we're filming all day in Cincinnati. He shows up, he sits down, I start interviewing, and he's an older guy, early 80s. He was 82, 83. And, we're sitting there talking, and very early on he goes, well, George didn't make a lot of money from the toys, and blah, blah, blah. Now, I had grown up my entire life thinking George had actually made the majority of his money from the toys. And he goes, no, he actually did a really bad deal. He didn't make much money at all.
Wow.
And I'm like, and again, he's an older guy. He's talking about shit from 40 years earlier.
Right.
And I'm like, sir, respectfully, I think you have it backwards. He made all the, and he goes, well, I bought the contract. So he literally pulls out a binder and he hit the contract. Literally the fucking Kenner contract.
Yeah,
which
that's
was
crazy.
And he was right. So to answer your question, do we know what's happening ahead of time? No. So we already had one rough cut of the episode when we had done that interview, scrapped it.
Yeah.
Literally started over from scratch with that information. Peter Laird, when we were interviewing Peter Laird, 5-hour interview, about 4.5 hours in, we're in a room, I'm not kidding you, almost maybe even smaller than this, 5-hour plus interview. And then at some point, 4.5 hours in, he was like, and as a part of the deal I did with Nickelodeon when they bought Turtles for Viacom, I was still allowed to make 14 issues a year. And I was like, well, have you ever done that? And he goes, no. We convinced Kevin, who we'd already interviewed. So it's funny. It always cracks me up. We get so much credit for reuniting Kevin and Peter.
Right.
We deserve zero credit for that. Zero. They had met a year earlier. They hadn't talked in 20 years, but they had met the year before and reunited. We deserve zero credit for that. What we do deserve credit for, and we get no credit for this, zero credit. So I'm so glad this came up. We flew Kevin out, and they met, and they started, if you watch the end of the episode, you see them start working together again. That's the last Ronin.
Oh.
Yes! So like this huge new thing.
And it's funny because we actually did a whole special on the last Ronin last year, and we interviewed everyone but the two of them that worked on the book. So that was
so we did that. That was us. Wow. No credit for it. But my point is, we were already making that episode. We'd already been working on it. Hearing that one nugget changed.
Stop the presses.
So that's what we do. We do massive amounts of research. Other than like famous people, if you're seeing someone on our shows, that's usually the third time we've interviewed them. So we do an interview that we don't record, then we do another interview that we do record the audio, then we do the actual interview. And the reason we do that is very often you hear shit in interviews that is like John Doe says something about Jane Doe, and if you're only doing one interview, you can't mix and match, you can't compare. Right. So if we do the pre-interviews, John Doe might say, well, Jane Doe did this. Well, now we know that. So when we interview Jane Doe, we know ahead of time, well, John Doe said you did this. Right. And she'll also know because we had pre-interviewed her, so she can check her notes or her files. So that's how we keep, that's why your wife didn't run out of the room when she was watching Toys and Matters.
Has anything really surprised you, other than the George Lucas thing? Like,
tons.
What do you think was the biggest surprise that you learned?
It was so many. He-Man, the Battle Cat, it was like not deliberately, but like, it wasn't supposed to be from He-Man.
Right.
They just reused a mold and painted a tiger blue. Like, that was big. That was a big surprise. Lego, oh my God, almost everything we learned about Lego was a huge surprise. Yeah, there was nothing but surprises.
So now I'd like to ask you kind of about the toy collector part.
Sure.
Because I love, obviously, the show, but it's a double-edged sword because it frustrates me because I was born in 1980, right? My uncle had all the Star Wars toys, wanted to give them to me. My mom said no. All my Transformers stuff, gone. He-Man, mom threw out. So I watched this and I said, oh my God, I had all of this. So
that was the alternate title for the show.
Oh, was it?
Yeah.
Oh my God, I had all this?
Yeah. Oh my God, but
yeah, I had that. Yeah, it can really be frustrating. I was lucky to get some G1 Transformers. I got the G1 Optimus and Soundwave and all that, so I got that back. But most of the stuff is just gone. So in your toy collecting history, is there anything that you had as a kid that you just it was gone and you had to go back and get it and you got it and it's...
Yes. Yes, the answer is yes.
Okay.
I would argue for me personally, more important, I grew up in a pretty lower class family.
Sure.
My parents didn't have a lot of money.
Yep.
So I have been able to get the stuff my parents couldn't afford. So I wanted the G.I. Joe whale. I wanted the Cobra hydrofoil. Those were And basically my mom, without ever saying this to me, but in retrospect, I think my mom was like, I got you for Star Wars. Anything else, you're on your own.
Right.
So I had a pretty good Star Wars collection. But I didn't have, I had some G.I. Joe figures, but it was only later in life when I had some money where I was able to get a whale. I was able to get the Moreio and that stuff. So that's like the bridge from Star Trek The Motion Picture that Ego made.
Yeah.
I wanted that. That was like a Grail item for years. I only got that probably about 3 or 4 years ago.
Okay.
So that for me it's more about to quote Quantum Leap, to make right where once went wrong.
Right.
Like my mom and dad, they couldn't afford the whale.
Yeah.
I bought the whale.
I got it. Yeah.
So it's a lot of that.
Okay. And you said it yourself, Grail. What is your holy grail of your collection?
Of my collection?
Of your collection.
I really don't. I can't really tell you what.
Okay.
I mean, I have the nacelles from the Enterprise C.
Okay.
I cannot believe I have that. I have a shelf talker from Stop and Shop from A New Hope.
Wow.
I can't believe I have that. I have the Rotocast prototype head for the Emperor.
Oh, wow.
I can't believe I have that. I have the FX7 from Empire prototype. Never went into production. How do you choose?
Yeah. No, I get you there. So, what do you think is the holy grail overall of toys?
For me?
For you,
For me, the only thing I don't have that I want is a character named Vlix.
Okay.
You know Vlix?
I'm not recalling.
Vlix, everybody knows about Boba Fett, but Boba Fett, rocket firing Boba Fett, but rocket firing Boba Fett never went into production.
Yes.
Vlix, it's the most unbelievable story. So Vlix was like the 50th lead from Droids. Remember that cartoon?
Yeah.
So Vlix was made for what would have been Wave 3 of the Droids line, but the show got canceled before it could come out. Kenner had already made the molds. So they were like, we already spent all this money on the molds.
Right.
What do we do?
Yeah.
So they tried to be slick, and they sent the molds to this company in Brazil called Glassleet, and they were going to just put it out, and nobody would ever know. Well, Glassleet had some bad luck. Somebody from Lucasfilm spent their vacation in Brazil and saw Vlix for sale and got very angry.
Right.
And basically, they were only on sale for 2 weeks. They were taken off the shelves, put in a warehouse, and then the warehouse burnt down. So there are very, very few Vlixes at all.
Yeah.
And I want a Vlix MOC. And they've gone for almost $250,000.
Wow.
Yeah. There's one here for sale, out of the box, $12,000 in good condition. Not even great condition, good condition.
Good condition.
$12,000.
Wow.
Is there a toy that you haven't covered on the show yet that you definitely want to talk about?
Tons. Many, many, many toys. Yes.
Okay, what do you have? Do you have anything in the works that you can talk about?
Well, in the works, I can certainly talk about season 4 and 5.
Okay.
So we're doing Ghostbusters, we're doing Hot Wheels, we're doing fast food toys, which is an episode I've always wanted.
More stuff to annoy me because I had all that. Yeah.
Those are pretty cheap. So you can replicate your collection for probably less than $100.
Okay.
All for 50 toys.
Right.
Pretty real cheap. They made millions of them. The Pokemon. We're doing American Greetings, which is strawberry shortcake.
My girlfriend will love that.
So yeah, so that I can talk about.
Anything that you can share in an upcoming episode that was made you oh wow, I'm really glad we did this episode.
The only one because we're just starting out, but the only thing that I would say to that point is the fast food episode. I was really nervous about it because it's our first episode ever that's not about one toy line. So we almost didn't do it. At the last minute, I said, fuck it, let's just try.
Right.
San Diego, we did this video that was like, 2 minutes on Ghostbusters, 2 seconds on Ghostbusters, 2 seconds on Pokemon. And when fast food came up, the biggest, best reaction of anything.
Oh, yeah.
And that was like, okay, I guess I'm not an idiot. Yeah.
It's always nice to have that confirmation.
Isn't it nice?
I understand, yeah.
It's nice if it happened more often, but take what you get.
So, we normally sign the podcast off by saying, don't let your cape get caught in the door.
Okay.
Which means, it started off as a joke, but it really is going to mean don't let any of your shortcomings or foibles get in the way of achieving your goals.
Yep.
Is there something that you've overcome in your life to achieve a goal?
Is there
something that you have overcome you can achieve a goal?
I almost bankrupted the company in 2013. How about that?
Pretty big
obstacles.
Yeah.
We distribute content as well. We're a distributor for TV shows.
Yeah.
Our first attempt at that, I pretty much put $500,000 in a furnace and burnt it. Yeah, they've overcome a lot. Bad bosses like everybody. Nothing. But to your point about the cape, I'm a big Trekkie, and in my will, on my tombstone, it will say, I don't believe in the no-win scenario from Wrath of Khan. Yes. And that's the only reason I've gotten through all the problems I've encountered.
That's awesome.
Is because whenever I deal with something like that, I remind myself, I don't believe this could be the end, and just keep fighting and prevail eventually. Yeah. But but definitely a lot of setbacks.
Yeah, no, that's definitely good advice. Like, you don't succeed unless you try, right?
Yes, true. But I would argue equally important is you will fail.
Yes.
There will be problems. You will have bad days. You will have bad months. You will have bad years. The key, in addition to trying, is being resilient and keep going.
Right.
I can't tell you how many times I've heard people say, I love what you're doing. I was going to do that. And in my head, I'm always like, it's a great line in Social Network,
Yeah.
The movie about Facebook.
Yeah, Facebook.
At some point, Zuckerberg says to the Winklevoss twins, or whatever they're called, he's like, I don't understand. If you invented the Facebook, why didn't you invent the Facebook? Like, you're suing me, right? You were supposedly working on it for years before I got there. Why didn't you? And that's always kind of like my outlook.
Yeah.
Like, the only thing I have done differently than anyone else, it's not because I'm smarter, it's not because of anything special to me. It's just I can get through the bad days and keep fighting. Yeah, that's it. Like I said.
That's it.
How many people would joke about almost bankrupting the company?
Right.
And it's not a joke. I mean, my CFO would tell you, he doesn't even know how we survived. A, we did. B, I'm not embarrassed about it. And part of the reason we're able to do what we're doing now is because I learned from almost bankrupting the company what not to do. So that's it. You just don't give up. So it's hard, but it's a pretty simple concept. Just don't give up.
Yeah.
Keep swimming. Wonderful.
Yeah.
I think we're about...
Okay, well, yeah, we are. So, the question that we normally end on is, how do you measure success?
Joy. I mean, first of all, and again, I just feel I need to always say this, even though it's cheesy. The only thing that matters to me at all, like when I'm down on my deathbed, leaving the world, was I a good father? Was I a good husband? That is it. I don't give a shit. Anything, I could win an Oscar, I could cure cancer, anything else I do, irrelevant from the standpoint of my deathbed. If we are to remove that cheesy stuff, which is true, but it's still very cheesy, I sent this to the whole company yesterday. Some guy had posted a picture of one of our Walmart, we have all these kiosks or features or end caps, a lot of words. For our Walmart, we have a whole thing at Walmart where we're selling the toys from our what we call then the Cellverse.
Right.
Some guy posted a picture of our end cap at Walmart from Council Bluffs, Iowa, and then he did a close-up of Barnyard Commandos, and he said, wow, I had these when I was a kid. My parents threw them out. They're dead now, and I miss them so much, and this reminds me of them. And he tagged me. He tagged Marcel. He's like, thank you for getting these in stores again. That's winning the lottery. Yeah. That's the bell at the carnival, like just that joy. But then to be honest with you, selfishly, it's just kind of making what I want. Yeah. So like I'm a huge Expanse fan. I love the Expanse. Nobody was making the Expanse stuff. So do we have to go? Okay. So all right. So now because luckily we're making toys, woo, we can do the Expanse and Avasarala. I couldn't pronounce that for years. Is on our shelf. It will be on my Marcel made it. Yes, I had a lot to do with that. But at the end of the day, I will have a shelf with these characters that I love, and it's joy. That gives me joy. I will shut up now.
All right. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much.
Thank you. This was awesome. Great questions.
Good.